Have you ever wished you could just look at a textbook once and remember every single word for your finals? Or wished you could wake up with a shredded, ripped physique and insane strength without ever stepping foot in a gym or choking down dry chicken breasts? What if you could completely wipe out all your anxiety and fear, turning yourself into a fearless, absolute social god? Life would be a breeze, right? In sci-fi movies, we call these people mutants or superheroes. But here's the thing. In the real medical world, these superpowers actually exist. They're not from some sci-fi lab experiment. They're the results of a cruel genetic lottery. Today, we're breaking down 6 real-life superpower diseases. And trust me, by the end of this video, you'll realize that whenever Mother Nature hands out a superpower, she always demands a terrifying price. Let's start with physical power, the one most of us desperately want. In human biology, our muscle growth is strictly regulated by a gene called MSTN. Think of it as a biological brake pedal. It stops our muscles from getting too big so our bodies don't burn through too much energy. But for a lucky few, this brake pedal completely fails. Doctors call this Myostatin-Related muscle hypertrophy. People born with this have over twice the muscle mass of an average human, with almost zero body fat. There's a famous case in the US of a toddler named Liam who could do pull-ups at just 8 months old and lift 3-kilogram dumbbells by age 3. He doesn't need a gym. He could literally lie on the couch all day eating junk food and still look like a Greek god. And the craziest part? To this day, science hasn't found a single negative medical side effect. Now imagine stacking that super strength with another condition, indestructible bones. There are a handful of people worldwide with TDO syndrome. Thanks to a mutation in their DLX3 gene, their bone density is several times higher than normal. In medical records, these patients have been known to literally shatter baseball bats with their bones and walk away from horrific car crashes completely untouched. They are, for all intents and purposes, real-life Wolverines. Sounds like the ultimate main character cheat code, right? Well, don't celebrate just yet. The catch for having unbreakable bones? Their teeth are as brittle as crackers. A single bite can cause them to painfully shatter and fall out. Even worse, the genetic chain reaction behind this often triggers another absolute nightmare, Stone Man syndrome. This is a 100% fatal, ultra-rare disease. If a normal person gets a scratch or tears a muscle, the body heals it with skin or tissue. But for these patients, the body heals it with pure bone. If you sprain your knee, your joint turns into solid bone, locked forever. If you strain your vocal cords, you permanently lose your voice. Every minor bump or bruise in daily life builds another layer of bone armor inside them. Eventually, they turn into a living, immovable statue trapped inside their own skeleton until they suffocated to death. And the brutal part? Surgery is useless because cutting away the bone tissue just creates a new wound, which tells the body to grow even more bone. It's a tragic, inescapable dead end. If bodily mutations are that brutal, what happens when the glitch is in our nervous system? We all deal with pain, cutting your finger, stubbing your toe, or fighting a heavy illness. If we could completely turn off pain, wouldn't life be pure bliss? Enter our third superpower, congenital insensitivity to pain, or CIP. Because of a specific gene mutation, their pain signals are completely cut off from the brain. They can feel touch and temperature, but they feel zero pain. If you train someone with CIP for the battlefield, they'd be the ultimate soldier because they wouldn't even flinch if they got shot. But in reality, most people with CIP barely survive childhood. Why? Because pain is the most vital survival mechanism ever coded into us. A baby with CIP might literally chew off their own tongue while teething without realizing it. They might fracture a leg during playtime, but keep running until the bone is completely destroyed. In one tragic case, a patient was asleep when an electric blanket short-circuited and caught fire. They were literally burned to death in their sleep, only waking up when they smelled the smoke. Without pain to protect you, the world is a minefield. Okay, so what if we keep pain but get rid of fear? No more stage fright before a massive speech, no more anxiety when asking out your crush. You could face any risk with total cold-blooded confidence. A man from the UK named Geordie had a severe illness that forced doctors to surgically remove his adrenal glands. That single operation completely flipped off the fear switch in his brain. When he woke up and doctors solemnly told him he had developed life-threatening meningitis, he just stared. He felt absolutely nothing. He became truly fearless. But Geordie quickly realized he had fallen into a different kind of hell. The part of the brain that processes fear and anxiety is the exact same part that processes joy, excitement, and anticipation. The price for losing fear was that he could no longer feel a single spark of excitement. Horror movies weren't scary, comedies weren't funny, and even winning a massive jackpot felt like nothing. His emotions became a flat line. He was alive, but he could no longer truly experience life. Finally, let's look at the ultimate superpower that everyone in school or business dreams of, a flawless memory, medically known as hyperthymesia. There are fewer than 100 confirmed cases of this worldwide. Their brains work like a 4K camera that never turns off. You could pick any random date from 10 years ago, and they can tell you exactly what day of the week it was, what the weather was like, what they had for breakfast, and what was on the news. They can memorize law textbooks or medical formulas in days. They are walking encyclopedias. It sounds like a total power trip, right? But for the people living with it, it's a lifelong psychological prison. Because the biggest tragedy of hyperthymesia is that they lose the ability to forget. Normal people heal because time fades painful memories, but for them, time changes nothing. They don't just remember facts, they are forced to remember every single embarrassing moment, every insult, their worst childhood traumas, the crushing grief of losing a loved one, and every brutal word spoken during a breakup. Those painful memories never fade. Even 30 years later, when a memory flashes back, the pain, anger, and heartbreak feel exactly as raw and intense as the second it happened. Their brains are constantly forced to replay the garbage of their past in high definition. The mental overload drives most of them into deep depression and anxiety, eventually driving them completely insane. Movies love to make superpowers look awesome, but nature and evolution are far smarter and far colder than any Hollywood scriptwriter. We always complain about our flaws. We hate that we forget things, that we feel pain, that we get anxious, afraid, or out of shape. But it's only when you see these genetic glitches that you realize something profound. Those imperfections we hate are actually the final defensive lines our bodies built to protect us from destroying ourselves. We forget so we can smile again after heartbreak. We feel pain so we can back away from danger. We feel fear so we can appreciate peace and happiness. Maybe being ordinary means we're actually the luckiest, most perfectly protected ones of all. So, if God offered you one of these 6 superpowers today, knowing the exact price tag attached to it, which one would you pick? Or would you just choose to stay exactly who you are? Let me know in the comments. Hit that follow button for more untold truths about the world. I'll see you in the next one.